Well, first of all, tell us what you're doing here in Texas.
Well, I'm going to see some old friends and some new friends. We're going to have some events and raise some money and talk to some folks like yourself and just get around the state.
Do you think there's been kind of a disconnect between the Washington lobbyist media establishment kind of calling your rollout a little bit lackluster, and then the poll numbers seem to remain strong? Is there a disconnect? What is it?
You know, I haven't read a great deal of the national media, to tell you the truth. I've been kind of busy. All I know is that we're getting great crowds, we're getting great response, great reception. People are enthusiastic. It seems like people feel like they know me. You know, I've been in and around public life for a long time over the years, and it's extremely gratifying. And of course, you know, parenthetically, I'm doing very well in the polls. So when you get out of the Beltway and you get out to the real people, it's just like when I was running before, you know, a couple elections in Tennessee. People are people the country over in more respects than not, and have that same feeling, same enthusiasm when we were very successful before.
Well, we are in Texas, border state, so let's hit immigration real quick. How do you think we deal with the problem of immigration, or how would a President Thompson administration deal with the problem of immigration without alienating Hispanic voters, a huge growing block here in Texas?
Yeah. Well, many of us have Hispanic members of our own family, such as myself. So I don't think that it alienates people who have come here and played by the rules, and in many cases stood in long lines at embassies of our country around the world, and come here and taken the time and the effort to become great citizens who we love and appreciate. I don't think it alienates them to say that others should be allowed to come in illegally and stay illegally. That's not good policy. It's not good for the country. Besides the politics of it, nobody knows what the politics really are. I think Democrats will demagogue this issue and try to make it divisive. But what's good for the country is that we enforce the borders. A country that can't enforce its own borders will not remain a country in any normal sense of the word. And now it's a national security consideration. There's nothing to keep these terrorist-related nations from sending people up through the border, you know, with the most dangerous kinds of material. I think we're living in the era of the suitcase bomb. So we've got to balance all those considerations, have a decent immigration policy for legal immigration, but not be apologetic about enforcing the laws and securing our borders.
But what do we do with the 12, 13 million that are already here within our borders?
Well, that's an issue. It's not as big an issue as 24 million or 36 million or on, which is the direction we'll be headed in today if we don't change our policy. If you enforce the border and you enforce the law in terms of employment here, in terms of sanctuary cities and things of that nature, the problem will greatly improve on its own. It's going to dissipate over a period of time if we do the right thing.
So send them back?
Well, if they're caught here illegally, you would. But as I say, the problem will dissipate over a period of time if we enforce the borders and enforce the law here in this country with regard to employment and those who are apprehended. A lot of times people are apprehended here for other offenses and so forth, and it's discovered they're illegal. Yes, they should be sent back.
Is global warming a man-made problem, do you think?
From what we know now, it seems to be in part, certainly. I think that we don't know how much yet. There are a lot of other things we do not know as to the causes of global warming and how imminent severe problems might be. But there's one thing we do know, and that is there's got to be a global solution to it. There's got to be an international solution and cooperation to it to do anything. We could take all kinds of drastic measures here even before we know the answers to a lot of these questions and harm our economy substantially. And it wouldn't even make any difference if China and India and a lot of other countries didn't participate. So we've got to sit down at the table with an awful lot of people and do whatever is reasonable based upon the continuing intelligence that we get in terms of what's really happening out there.
All right. If you end up facing Hillary next year, is there anything nice you could say about her? Any qualities that you admire in her?
Well, you know, she's an effective politician, and she's done a lot to succeed in politics, and has a lot of experience. And so, you know, she would be a formidable challenger. It's her. Oh boy.
Anything in particular that you like about her besides that she's successful?
That I like about her, no, I'm not going to get into the assets and lack of assets of any potential nominees. We'll have a good time, let's say, if we wind up facing each other. We go back a long ways. I didn't know her at the time, but during Watergate, I was Republican counsel on the Watergate committee, and she worked on the Watergate prosecutor's office in that office on the other side of the hill. So we go way back, and of course we served briefly together in the Senate before I left the Senate.
What would you say is the biggest mistake made by the Bush administration, and what would a Fred Thompson administration do to fix it?
I think probably not clamping down harder on spending earlier, and not using the veto on some of these spending bills earlier than it did. I think also, although we were faced with two bad choices as far as Iraq is concerned. If we had left Saddam Hussein alone down there, in my view, he undoubtedly would have proceeded with his nuclear weapons program. That part of the world would be even more dangerous than it is today, with Iran doing what they're doing and all of that. And the first part of that operation, of course, was very successful. We clearly did not know what we were going to be facing when we went down there, and the preparation for that and our lack of intelligence was insufficient. But it's not enough to wallow in the past. It's what you do now. I think we're on the right track there now. So I give them credit on the front end and the back end. But in the middle, we had some real problems there.
Can we do a quick question for the blog?
Sure.
All right. This is just going to be kind of fun. You good still?
Yeah.
All right. In Austin, we are in Austin, big university. We like to call it UT.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a UT in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Which should we consider as Americans the true UT?
The true UT. You know, it's a big, wonderful orange country, as far as I'm concerned. And I think there's a big enough country there for two UTs.
Do you prefer
At
burnt
least.
orange or the citrus orange?
Citrus.
You'd be very disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but my pandering can only go so far.
All right. Thanks, Senator.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Unclip you here.